And he basically, we had a grocery store there, which was an A&P, and that was run by Hindenburg. And he was shoveling snow when he died, so he got a heart attack. And then on the other side was Max Rosick, and he had a tavern there. And then later on he went to Nash Call, and then he started the place in Ripon. I don't know what they used to call it, but he had a good operation over there. And then there's Hyman Swed. My grandma always used to go to Hyman Swed to make a decision on work. And she used to talk to Mr. Heaston too, to Ernest, about when she liked to do real estate. Grandpa was really more interested in hunting and fishing. And there was Ham Mabel, of course, and he's the one that lost it. Jack Mabel was his son, and he had quite a nice family, and he was very fine. And there was John Buddy. Then we had the 125th birthday party, and we had Wrigley Brothers, and we always had the fair, cattle fair. We had to do that. Swimming in the mill ditch and the Green Lake. Green Lake drew a lot of people. Mrs. Lawson was way ahead of her time. She put all those rolls in, and you notice that boat there. That boat is run by electricity, by battery. And there's only 3 people that ever owned a boat like that. The Tsar of Russia, Thomas Edison, and she. And she put a bunch of farms together, and that's how that all came about. But she was way ahead of her time. And of course, I love to stay at the farm, and it really hurts me to see how crappy it is today. And then with hunting, as I said before, hunting really didn't start in Marquette County until, we'll say, about 34, 35. They used to be herds of sheep, a deer of maybe 20 or 80, and everybody'd come out and look at that. And then, of course, the oldest church picnic in Wisconsin is St. John's Baptist School, but it's not like it was because of the water boys, because the kids could go there, but it's the oldest of the rest of the state. All the favorite thing to do is to have a good, clean fun and many good friends. Now, first I want to thank you for allowing me to talk. It's affected my whole life. It started with hard work, honest people with goals and common sense who believe with God. I enjoyed looking back on old friendships. There's many people who helped me over the years. To keep our place strong, we got to get things in order. First of all, we got to get rid of lying, hate, and crime. And these people that can't do that, they're affected by the devil as far as I'm concerned. You need love, trust, honesty, common sense. These people are not using common sense, and they don't understand cash flow. It starts with cash flow. But I've been through 15 bank shortages. And you know, I love everyone, I trust no one, because you don't know why women in songs is a lot of the problems with stealing, okay? The other is a lot of tragedies happen in families. And the unfairness of life, I don't understand. And sometimes I think the good Lord, when he sees, gets pretty damn mad. But that's neither here nor there. Now you'll notice on the next page that I got, and I wrote this, and I put that to the boys in Washington. Today, our country is facing a crisis. It doesn't matter if you're a politician, independent, Democrat, or Republican. All will be affected. Hatred and lying on both sides of the aisle has been a big destroyer. Presently, our country is almost bankrupt with huge debt, And yet our government, and they throw money away like it's thrown on the streets. It's crazy. Our government ministers keep borrowing money and giving it away. That's nonsense. This increases our debt, it's costly and more than nonsense. And if we hadn't had, we were so close to bankruptcy that it could have happened within a year or two if we kept going the way we're going. The result is very little trust. Without trust, you have nothing but poor contract, poor contract. And that's it. Now, this other thing is just nonsense.
Just words of advice.
That's the way I look at it.
Well, thank you, Dan. Is it okay if we open up for questions for other people?
You ask
Okay. Does
anything you want.
anyone have questions for Dan? Edward Hula.
I wanna ask him a question. Your dad ran the butcher shop in Princeton, didn't he?
Yeah,
And he had a,
that locker plant, yeah.
what?
Locker plant.
The locker plant.
The locker plant in Princeton, yes. And I know we did business there, my dad did. And they had a car that was the same thing as my dad had. And one day, my dad's car was missing.
Yeah.
Somehow, that car got in Montello.
Yeah.
And that all.
Probably Lyle or my dad took the car. Well, they look just alike.
Another thing, you had mentioned about Mago, that he was killed in Pond Lake or something. Well, I was swimming that time with Dave Huffman, and Mago dropped the motor in the river right next to where Mago's had their butcher shop.
Yeah.
Well, we dove down and we recovered that motor for the motorboat.
Did it run again? Did you?
And then that evening, he was killed in an accident in Fond du Lac. That Mago, one of Ham Mago's sons, that was there, yeah.
Well, you know, really, Mr. Mago, or Ham, it really was tough for him. What happened is, with Jack Peterson's dad, he was not available at that time, and so they had to go from normal living down and live with their grandpa for 4 or 5 years. But those Petersons turned out to great.
Yeah.
One was a minister, and they were, one was a professor. We have had some tremendous people in this town, and what goes on today, in my day, it was what goes on in the group of people I was raised with. They wouldn't put up with this crap. This is going on. That would not happen. They would, if they had to go down and shoot them, they would do it. They're gonna spread them out. You cannot tolerate it. You just can't tolerate it. It's got to stop.
So you had a disease at one time.
Rheumatic fever.
Rheumatic fever. Tell us about how you got over that.
Well, Dr. Miller tried it, and our other friend was head of the, let's see, I gotta go back.
Okay. Is it
Very easy.
one?
Yeah, Doc Miller was here, and then a guy that was a coach at the naval base, Weeview Bank, and later became coach of the Jets, was happened to be here, and he was at Great Lakes. He was there, and he was coaching there, and he said, you know, this thing's not going. I went from 180 pounds on 120 pounds 2 weeks, and they couldn't break the fever, and so they took me to the hospital, and they'd serve me anything, keep drinking. Well, that worked out, and they tried sulfur, that didn't work. Well, anyway, we've said, try penicillin, just come out, and that's how it came out. And so then they started, when I had so many holes in my rear end, that it would shoot out the other way. And it had 50 shots.
50 shots of penicillin.
Yeah, and then it took me a year to recover. And that's when they wouldn't let me come back to Princeton. They said no. And so, and that's where I made the mistake. See, when I did come back, I wanted to stay with my class. As a result, I don't know how to type today, and I didn't get agriculture, and I didn't get agriculture.
You missed some classes, you know.
And that has been a kind of handicap for me. But on the other hand, I want to be with those people because I know we almost loved each other because we trusted everybody.
Yeah.
Big thing in life is trust. And Doc Miller did everything he could. There's a time that Doc Miller was the only doctor during the war that would make house calls. And he made house calls. But later in life it got too much for him. But he worked damn hard. A lot of people, and you look around here, and you look at a lot of small towns are dying. And why is that? It's because they just think a lot of these people don't want to work. And I was not raised that way. You work for it. And I don't care what, but it's different. And Princeton is, you have a lot, people don't realize how good the people in this town are, and the history of the town.
Any other questions?
Yeah, go ahead.
I read somewhere in here, you worked one season at the Grand River warehouse
Just one
cannery?
season, yeah, just there. And that, my tuition at the other one,
But that later became,
yeah,
Del Monte bought that,
yeah.
and
that
my
was-
question is, did you ever autograph that warehouse in chalk? A lot of guys did that.
What's that?
Write your name in chalk on the warehouse?
No, didn't do that.
I
No,
remember
my
seeing
girl-
Tom Reshevsky's name in there.
Oh, okay.
Well, you know what, the basic thing too, the cans would go through the whole thing, 400 cans a minute, and you have to take a belt and pick them off by a big thing to carry it off. Now, the Jamaicans were a heck of a lot better than the Germans. The Germans were just always, kind of freeloading, but they liked it here, because a lot of them put, a lot of those up in the Secret Service,
Yeah.
those people would come back afterwards, because they liked it much better than Germany.
A lot of the guys that worked there seasonally would take a piece of chalk and autograph it, but the year they worked there.
Oh, okay.
Because there was a lot of names on the wall.
But that's a big loss to Martin to lose that, because that, you know, and then the other thing that Lawsonia was so good, some of these kids got to be tremendous golfers, because if you caddied there, you get one day a week that you could just come there and play free. And they did, and some of them, it was Monday they could have off. And that was good. It's been fun. I've worked in basically 150 banks, and I've had some tremendous people. But whenever I work at a bank, the first thing I'm gonna do is I wanna see who works the numbers. Because that's where it's at, and it's disgraceful that they've never looked at the numbers in our national government. You start with the numbers because that's what's very important now. Money is not God. And that's what we got to get that through your head. Once you do, you make that your God, you've missed life. And I've been to, I travel a lot. I've traveled a lot. And the one thing, you never retire. You just keep doing stuff, because the basic thing, the good Lord's gotta find you first. If you want a fast job, you're gonna go, I don't want no fooling around.
Any other questions for Dan?
It's been fun, guys. And you know what was nice about this? It forced me to read back on stuff. And, you know, these different things, every day something comes different in my head.
Yeah.
And,
I was on the phone, it was-
Well, let's give Dan a round of applause. Very entertaining and informative talk. Really appreciate you coming and sharing your stories with us tonight.
so-